Tom Vasel's top 100 games of all time. Some say that Tom is like a giant among men. Others say he's a little obsessed.
I don't even have a top 10.
Tom Vasel's top 100 games of all time.
Hey everybody, Tom Vasel here, and welcome to my Top 100 Games of All Time, Part 2! And today we're talking about games numbers 81 to 90. Some great games. So we're going to start off with one that's been on my list now for 9 years. A great racing game, Reifen. Unfortunately, this game was never published in English, but you don't need the English to play the game. There's some text in some of the cards, but you can find paste-ups or something for those, and they're not critical to the game anyway. But the game is such a fun one, and someone needs to reprint it. Although this isn't my favorite racing game, and maybe the one that's better will take its place eventually, and we'll talk about that later. But I like the cartoony nature of this. I like how you roll dice to move in this game, which is crazy, but it works really well because if you roll high and I'm behind you, I can draft and follow you. And the goal of the game is, or the key to the game is trying to figure out the best time to move around someone, to go past them, to go in front of them. And that's pretty cool. And you have these cards that you can use instead of rolling dice. When's the best time to use those? That, with the humorous, cartoony artwork, makes this a really solid racing game. So that's Reifen. Number 89 is Puerto Rico. Now, Puerto Rico is a classic game, and it's been on my list for 9 years, but not always. Sometimes it's been off, sometimes it's been on. It's kind of fluctuated around, but the reason it has to make the list is because I do play it almost every year at some point, and it is a quality game. When I play it, I'm like, wow, this is like ticks all the boxes of things. I'm like, shipping goods again, and building buildings, but who cares? The theme fits. First of all, the theme fits great. Secondly, it's so well designed. The idea of me taking a role and everyone else, and it's this word is overused often when describing games, but it fits Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico is elegant. There's nothing clunky about it. There's nothing weird or strange about it. It just makes sense. It's almost it's an amazing game. I was almost gonna say it's a perfect game design, but it's fantastic. And I have the 10th anniversary edition, and I love it. I really like it with the expansion because it adds some variety, and you're never quite sure what the variables will be given in any game. But other than that, there's a very tiny amount of luck in it. I don't know what it is, but the game, I think every time I play the game, I'm sitting there and I'm enthralled, and it's not a very long game, but it gives you the feeling of playing something fulfilling and deep. That's Puerto Rico. Number 88 is a game that I hope will be reprinted soon. I know that there is a reprint in the works from the Bruno Catala and Bruno Feduti, and that is Mission Red Planet. Mission Red Planet has been also on and off my list. I've been playing it for years, but the more I play it, the more I realize I love the idea of having cards in your hand and playing a card and doing whatever that card lets you do, but you don't get to play that card again until you played some worthless card to get them all back. That's what Mission Red Planet is. That, plus an area control game, plus blowing people up and blowing spaceships up. And it's such a neat area control game because you're putting stuff here so that it can fly in these rocket ships to different parts on Mars. Neat components, although it could use a complete overhaul, I'm sure. But even without that overhaul, a game I really enjoy, and that is Mission Red Planet. Number 87 has only been on the list. This is the second year. Last year was number 73, and that's Dominaire. Now, Dominaire is a game that came out in the Tempest line of games from AEG, where they tied a bunch of games together with the same universe and same theme. Sadly, they picked kind of a boring universe and boring theme, but in Dominaire, you're trying to control different parts of a city. Again, this is that area control, that something I like quite a bit. But even more than that, this game you have cards, and you're playing these cards, and that give you special powers and special things, but the turn that you play them on determines what powers you can use. And the later you play them, the better their powers are, but you can use them less often. It's a tad longer than it should be. If they could have tightened that time down some bit, I think it would have moved up even higher in my top 100, but as it is, a solid, cool game. And I have to say, I believe I just named 3 Euro games in a row. So for those of you who think I don't like Euro games, blah, 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 blah. Anyhow, that's number 87, Dominaire. Okay, number 86, cooperative game. This has been on the list for 2 years. Was on my list last year also, and that's Police Precinct. a game where you get to play police officers. I love the idea of police officers. If you talk about a theme that is completely underused in gaming, that is definitely one of them. There's way more games that glorify being a gangster. Okay, well, anyway, then there is about being police officers, which is a great thing to role model. Anyhow, in this one, well, you can play with the Dirty Cop variant, which is fun. But it's a cooperative game where there's more crime happening in this small section of town than happens anywhere, and traffic problems and all sorts of things, and you are trying to solve a murder while doing your normal duties as police officer. Entertaining, highly thematic. My number 86, Police Precinct. Number 85 was not on the list last year, but it has been on the list for many years before that, and that would be Beyond Balderdash. Now, Beyond Balderdash is a game that I think is exceptional as a party game, and I realized how much I like it. So why would it not make my list? As I went through my list this year, I just have to add it. I like Balderdash, where some person says the word waganga, and everyone else has to figure out what waganga means. So you write a fake definition, one person writes the real definition, you mix them all together, someone reads through them, and you have to guess which one's the right definition. Well, that's fun until people start writing ridiculous definitions. Then it gets incredibly fun. Beyond Balderdash took that a step further by giving you weird movies that you would have to write the plot to, or initials, and you have to write what those initials stand for, or a date, and you have to say what happened that date, or a person, and you have to say what that person did. They're the inventor of Silly Putty, or they're the first man to slap a gorilla, or some weird thing. So that's Beyond Balderdash. You play it, it is hilarious. Number 84 has been on the list now for 4 years. It is one of the few collectible card games on my list, and that is Warlord. Now, unfortunately, Warlord is out of print at this point in time, but the good news about it is if you want to play it, you can go find it for a cheap price. I believe it's still in print from a company in Germany. I'm not sure, but there are tons of decks out there. In Warlord, and you'll notice this theme in my top 100, you control a Warlord and then have other cards that back them up, and your goal is to take out the Warlord of your opponent. I think I have like 4 or 5 games in my top 100 that have that exact same theme. Warlord did it first. Warlord is like a CCG version of Dungeons & Dragons because you're rolling 20-sided dice. And I love that. All kinds of cool combat. All the different factions have a very different feel to them. AEG produced it for a while. I don't remember who all the different companies were. But I have tons of different cards to make my decks out of now. And very much get a kick out of this one. So my number 84, Warlord. Number 83. This is the third year this is on the list, and it's higher than it was last year, and that is First and Goal. If there's one thing I like to do, I like to roll dice. If there's another thing I like to do, I like to play cards and outguess my opponent. Mix them together, boom, a fun football game. Yes, there's not many sports games in my top 100, very few actually, but First and Goal is one of the few where I feel like I'm playing a quick, fast, and dirty football game. Or a fun game. Sorry, not dirty. Well, I guess you could play dirty football. You're in the mud. But anyhow, super great game. Not that difficult. We both play cards. We flip them over depending on how they are. Shows how many dice the offense will roll, and then he rolls those dice, and that's how far he can run. This game is doubled in how cool it is when you add in the different teams. They have all these different team packs. You don't need to buy them all, but buying some of them gives each player different sets of dice, which changes the game dramatically, I think, for the fun. So that is First and Goal. My number 82 has been on my list now for 5 years. This is one of these games I picked up as a whim at a store, and I am so very glad that I did, and that is On the Underground. Now, On the Underground is a game in which you are moving this incredibly lazy, unmotivated passenger through the subway system in London. And you are controlling different lines, so you're trying to set the lines up so he takes your lines, which gives you points. So you control multiple lines, and you're building these lines of subways, and then you're going to tell him to go to a destination and hope that he uses your lines, which gives you more points. You also get points for connecting things. It's kind of a thinky game. In fact, it's so thinky that I won't play it with more than 3. The game goes more than that, but 2 or 3 players, this game really shines at. And if you can find it, and it's not that hard to find, even though it's out of print, because it's just not that popular, I very much recommend it, On the Underground. And the final one for today is my number 81. And this is still not my favorite racing game, but another racing game, and that's Ave Caesar. Now, Ave Caesar is another game that's out of print, another game that needs to be in print. Ave Caesar is a game in which you're racing around a track. It's chariot racing, and you have a deck of cards, and you're going to be playing cards in your turn, but the track is thin and narrow, and you're going to try to move, and someone's blocking your path. You have to wait, and you can't play your cards. And so your goal is to block other people. Yeah, and this is the jerkiest racing game that exists, I think, because it's so much fun to just park your chariot right in front of someone else, and they can't move. And they get a little frustrated, but hopefully eventually they'll be able to swing around you at some point and do the same to you. And you got to stand up at some point and throw your coin to Caesar and say, Ave Caesar, which makes the game that much silly fun. It's a very light game, but entertaining, and I've never played a game of it where we just didn't have a blast. It plays 6 players so well, but also plays less than that. But this is one of those games when I have 6 players, I'm like, ooh, Ave Caesar, I think. So it'd be cool to see a nice updated version of this one. But that's my number 81, Ave Caesar. Now, that's it for this time. I did want to say, before we ended today's episode, that sometimes people get kind of hung up on these. They'll be like, what? That's only 81? Ave Caesar? Do you not like Ave Caesar? Do you have a problem with it? No. Here's the deal, ladies and gentlemen. I've played now probably, I was looking at Board Game Geek today, I think I've rated 3,500 different games and expansions. So to be in the top 100 is 1 out of 35, which is less than, I don't even know what the percentage is, it's like 1/3% of games that make it into my top 100. No, that can't be right. 100 over that, so 100 over 3,000 is 1 over 30. Sorry, my top 3%. 3% of games make it in my top 100. So that's, to me, is a big deal. And these are all great games. But greater ones are coming. So I hope you watch them. Don't forget to check out Dan King's top 100 list. Until next time, I'm Tom Vasel, and you've been watching The Dice Tower.
Tom Vasel's top 100 games of all time. Some say that Tom is like a giant among men. Others say he's a little obsessed.
I don't even have a top 10.
Tom Vasel's top 100 games of all time.